Welcome to the Audience Converter Podcast, the podcast for converting your audience from strangers to loyal fans. We dive deep and discuss how entrepreneurs, consultants, and coaches can level up their business to help more people in the world. Now here's your host, the creator of the Audience Conversion Method, Kimberly Weitkamp.
Welcome back to another exciting episode of the Audience Converter Podcast. I'm Kimberly Weitkamp, your host, conversion copywriter, and marketing strategist. Today's episode is another solo episode, so I'm going to be answering your questions. And it's a little bit different and a chance for you to ask me your top questions about marketing, your business, and building your dream life. Today, I'm addressing some of the top questions I get related to a new talk I've been giving about how to get started with your business, especially when you have to pivot or make a huge change in your messaging really fast with all of the things that are going on right now. And basically, how do you get started if you don't want to set up all of the many things related to a website? But before I dive into that, just a little bit of background. Remember, these Ask Me Anything episodes happen at least once a month. If you want your questions featured on a future episode of the Audience Converter Podcast, reach out at contact@theaudienceconverter.com. Remember to put AMA question in the subject line. Give me your name, your business website, and your question. And if I choose your question, I'll give you a shout out on the show and include your link in the show notes, which will give you a little bit of an SEO boost. So now let's move on to this really exciting topic about getting started, how to pivot really fast. What is this new no website approach that I have been talking about here recently? So this all came about because I was asked to give a masterclass to people who are just getting started. They were really wanting to provide a great and useful resource for an online summit. It's happening in the end of June. And on this online summit, we talked about how to get started without a website. And here's the thing. A lot of entrepreneurs I meet, they wait until, and here's what I mean by that. They wait until they have the perfect logo. They wait until they have the right design for their website. They wait until they have their branding colors down. They wait until they've figured out what domain they want and bought the perfect domain. Here's the thing. So many of us are going to pivot, we're going to change, we're going to adjust, especially when you're first starting out and you've got a general idea about who you want to help and how you're going to serve them. But that may change and that may evolve as you move forward in your business. Now, there are a few things you do need to get started in your business. I am not a lawyer, nor do I play one on this podcast, but do be sure to check your local government and state rules about starting a business, such as do you need a business number? Do you need a tax ID number? All of that good stuff. And those are things that I do not talk about because they do not have to do with marketing. But when you're talking about getting started and declaring that your online business is open, you don't need a website. In fact, you can get started without even having your domain chosen. And here's how you're going to do that. There are only 3 things you need to launch your online business. Number 1 is a landing page. Number 2 is a free gift. And number 3 is your first few emails in an automated system. Now, for those of you who are new to the marketing world, it may seem like, that's still tons of things. How am I going to get all of that hosted? Don't I need a website for all of this to live on? And the truth is, eventually you will want a website. Just because you're going to have a bigger presence that way, you can get found and get a lot more traffic sources if you own the area where you invite people to play. But when you're first getting started, especially when you want to test out a new idea, a new course idea, a new approach, a new audience, you don't need that website to get started. You don't need to figure out the domain name and the hosting and pay for it 3 years in advance and all of that kind of stuff. All you need is the landing page, the free gift, and the automated email series. And I'm going to dive into that a little bit more. So with your landing page, the term landing page just means where do people land? And the reason I say you only need your landing page to get started is because for the most part, people are spending less and less time exploring websites when they stumble upon them. right? Once you're big enough and you've got a ton of traffic, and yeah, you're going to start getting found for a particular search engine optimization and particular keywords and key phrases, then, having the website and maintaining it, those are all really great things. And especially if you want to move to membership sites or course creation, I'm always a big advocate of creating your own playground instead of playing in somebody else's, which means, don't rely strictly on using social media to host your groups. Don't rely strictly on teaching platforms to host your courses, because the way they operate, the way they charge, all of those types of things can always change. But if you are the owner, if you're the person who has created that fun little area to play in online, then you have a little bit more control. So eventually you will want that website, but you don't need one to get started. And here's why. You're going to talk about what you do, and you're going to direct people to a particular place. It's the same approach people use now. They talk about something on social media, such as a new challenge, a new giveaway, a new service or course they're opening up access to. And then where do people go? Are they going to a random page on your website? Are they going to your home page? No. When you talk about those particular things, you direct them directly to that location on your website. Or if you're not using a website, that location on your landing page. You direct them to that landing page. The reason why that works so well is it provides that personalized experience, and it provides that smooth customer experience for people when they first find you online. So here's a quick scenario for you, right? You're in a huge group full of your ideal customers. Maybe this group is on a social media thread. Maybe it's in a different place, like a question thread like Quora or Reddit. It doesn't matter where this group is, but you're in this huge group and it's full of your ideal customers. And somebody asks a question in a thread, and that question relates directly to what you do. So you give a really short answer and you point them to a resource. You point them to a particular thing you've already created or that you have done in the past that lets them know exactly the further answer to what they've asked, right? They asked about how to lose weight. They asked about how to keep weight off. They asked about how to get better work-life balance, and you've created a blog post on that. Whatever it is, the topic it is, most likely you're not going to say, oh, I wrote about that, or I created a podcast episode about that, or you know what, I've created a guide about that. Here, go to my website and find it. That's not the way you do it. That's not the way that's going to give you the best return for the amount of time you're investing, not only in creating that resource, but in directing people and interacting with people and directing them to that resource. What you're going to do is you're going to say, hey, I created a free guide. You can download it here. Or you're going to say, you know what, I wrote a blog post about that exact topic. Basically, here's the top 3 things you need. I covered 7. You can go read the blog post here. Or I recorded a podcast episode all about how to get started on email marketing 101. You can go and listen to that episode right here on the podcast episode page. So all of those have directed somebody to a place that is the landing page. The URL, the location you gave them and directed them to is very particular to the conversation you were already having. And they went to a landing page. That's where they landed, and it's closely related to the topic that you were talking about in that previous location. So this is why you don't necessarily need a huge, full, blown out website that gives you the reason to keep saying you can't launch until. I have found a lot of people I've spoken with over the years, they approach the website as another excuse before they're ready to get started. They're worried about getting started. They're afraid to get started. They don't know if people are going to like it yet, so they don't feel fully comfortable until they have that full website up. And all it is holding you back. So we're going to talk about today how to get started right now, immediately, and not need to get all of those pieces in place. And as soon as you start to grow, as soon as you have the time, as soon as you have 1 or 2 clients, there's never a good or bad time to start building out that full website so that you have a single place to house everything. But to get started, all you need is that landing page, the giveaway, and the automated series. So let's start with the landing page. A lot of people are worried. They're like, well, I've seen landing page places or, that you pick a theme and, it's really expensive every month. I have to pay a lot of money or I can only direct so many visitors to it. So here's what I'm going to tell you to do. Go into the show notes. There's a link to ConvertKit. It is an affiliate link. It's my referral link. But here's the deal. You get a nice deal for trying it out. It's completely free for you to test out. They have a new free tier for anyone who's trying out ConvertKit. Gives you a bunch of new subscribers and access to, this is really amazing. It gives you access to creating a landing page, to hosting all of your giveaways, and to doing automated emails right off the bat at that free tier. So it's really easy to get started. You can be up and running in, 10, 15 minutes. Of course, you have to write your copy, which might take you a little bit longer, but all of the tech stuff won't take very long. And it's all going to be in one platform and it's completely free to get started. So it's a very low risk investment. So go to the show notes, click on that link, and you'll be able to get started right here. And then what you're going to do is you're going to pick one of the templates, right? This is your get started option. This is not your, I'm going to do this for eternity. This is your get started. I need something up yesterday because I'm creating this new business or I'm testing out this new idea or I'm testing out this new audience and I need a really fast way to test it. You pick a template, input your copy. And the most important thing that you want to do, the most important part of creating this landing page, number one, is you're going to talk about the most important 8 seconds of your online business. And that is formulating your headline. And here's what I mean by that. A lot of us kind of focus on, what am I going to offer? What am I going to do? What is that next step? And we forget that we really have to capture someone's attention first. So even though they might have liked what we shared on social media, or they might have liked our answer to a question they saw in a forum somewhere, they might have liked our article on Medium or on another location, they are not 100% behind you because they've just met you virtually online. So you want to give a quick reminder and let people know that, yes, you're in the right place. So you have 8 seconds, only 8 seconds, which, fun fact, is shorter than the attention span of a goldfish. You have only 8 seconds to capture someone's attention. Now, notice I said capture someone's attention, not keep. And this is what that means. You have 8 seconds for your headline to answer a few really important questions, which is who you are, who you serve, and why the reader should stick around. And you want to put all of that content into a single headline, which can be read in 8 seconds. It answers those first few questions. They realize they're in the right place, and then you can keep them on the page. They're going to be ready to keep scrolling. You've got their attention and they're ready to invest a little bit more of their time with you. So don't leave the headline to the end. Don't leave it as an afterthought. Make sure you spend a lot of time so that when you formulate this headline, it really speaks to the right people that you're wanting to talk to. Quick example for you. So let's talk about, for example, the people who, they're wanting to lose weight and they've been trying to lose weight for quite a while. So you can say something like helping serial dieters finally find a plan that works. Okay, you've identified who you are. You're someone who helps serial dieters. You've identified who you help and how you help them and given them a reason to stick around, right? Suddenly people who have been doing this numerous times, they're like, oh, you have an answer for me. I want to learn a little bit more. Now, again, you have to keep their attention after that. You want to be able to capture that attention right at the beginning. Or someone who's talking about that work-life balance. You could say something along the lines of coaching busy parents on how to get more free time for themselves. You've identified your ideal client, you've identified exactly who you're serving, and given an indication as to why somebody should stick around. All right, so that's the landing page. Now, on the same idea, you want to give a reason for somebody to exchange their email address for something you have. You also want to take this opportunity to build a lot of value and to kind of give a small taste of what it's like to work with you. So this is not only going to be information, it's going to be information directly related to what is your end goal. It's going to be information that is directly related to exactly what it's going to be like to work with you. And here's why. A lot of people we get so focused on exactly what we're going to be doing, what we're going to be serving, how we're going to help people. It's the course, it's the widget, it's the modules. We forget that people like to work with other people that they know, like, and trust. So instead of sticking to templates, instead of focusing strictly on here's all the things you're going to get when you work with me, you want to give people an indication of what it's really like to work with you. How are you different than somebody else? So on that landing page, you're going to have a little bit of copy, you're going to have some information. All of this is really important, and you're going to ask them for their email address. And the reason they're going to give you their email address is because you have a gift for them. And it needs to be something short and sweet. When we download these lead magnets, so many of us, there are so many opportunities online. You don't want people to have to uh, take too much time. If you ask somebody who doesn't really know you to suddenly invest 3 hours of their life in reading your book, that's a huge ask. Now, they may think that's the best thing ever, that it's, all of the information they were looking for. They're so excited, but then they have to find that 3 hours. And it becomes a lot harder for them to actually consume the free gift that you've given them. So you want to make sure that your free gift is short and sweet and to the point. It needs to be valuable. It needs to be from you. It needs to be obvious. You're the person who created it, not just any other person who does exactly what you do. You need to be in it. Your marketing always needs to sound like you. And of course, valuable, a little bit of taste like you, but it also needs to be short. My recommendation is usually, 1 to 2 pages. If it's a checklist, it could be 3 pages. It doesn't have to be, it's just a starting guideline. But essentially, you want to be able to show people how you can help them really fast. And then you've bought their trust to continue interacting with you. It may be enough for them to say, oh, that really low-end offer, that's awesome. Yes, I want to learn more. Maybe they want to explore a little bit more of the content you've created. It doesn't really matter. But you do need to have something to give away that's short and useful. So it needs to relate to their top concerns right now. So this is not necessarily the time for you to say, download my guide on using my particular framework for losing weight. Because those people, they don't know that language yet. They don't know the name of your framework. They may not understand that that's the name of a framework and not something they can go Google. So you really want to make sure that whatever it is that you're creating, it answers their questions in the language that they use, and it's actually their questions and not just the things that you want them to know. So we've talked about the landing page. We've talked about, the most important 8 seconds of your online business. And now we're going to talk about how to put all of this on automatic so that you can continue to get new people interested all day long. And the next part, of course, is going to be the emails that you send out. So already people have realized who you serve. They've realized you've got something valuable, and they said, okay, yes, I want this enough that I'm going to hand over my email address to get it. So now is the time for you to really, really shine. Your lead magnet or your freebie or your gift or your giveaway, whatever you want to call it, is that first step. But you also really need people to actually read it, as we talked about earlier. So in these first few messages that you send out, you want to remind people of who you are, remind people of what they signed up for, remind people of the benefit of continuing to read your materials, and of course, direct them to actually use your materials. So you want to remind people, oh yes, you asked for this guide. Remember, I talk about this particular benefit. You can find that on page 2. Go download your copy now if you haven't read it yet. So you're going to be using an email system to automatically deliver these items. And the email system, it's really important that it's automated, because then you don't have to be constantly checking your inbox. Did somebody ask me for this yet? Did I remember to send that second message? All of those things are done for you, and you don't really have to worry about them. And you're going to be creating 3 to 5 of these emails. And it's your opportunity to let people know you a little bit more. It's your opportunity for building that know, like, and trust factor. And it's your opportunity to showcase exactly what value, expertise you bring to the situation, and a little bit of your personality so that people do want to keep working with you. We've covered those 3 things you need to launch your online business. It's the no website approach to getting started. We've talked a little bit about what to have on that first landing page, how you're going to create a gift that people actually want to download. And we've talked a little bit about the emails you need to send out afterwards. And remember, the key to all of this is to have it automated so that it's really seamless. It creates a great customer experience for people. And they're ready when you finally send out that message of, hey, let's get on the phone to talk. They're ready to actually speak with you. They know enough information and they are ready to invest in their time with you and what you do. So, I like to call this the no website approach to getting started. Remember, though, this is only a getting started option. This is not going to be your forever option. This is not something you're always going to be directing people to. Your URL is going to be a string of letters and numbers. You can create a bit.ly or something like that to make it look pretty, but you do want to create that fuller experience when you have the time, resources, and ability. But just to get started, just to pivot, just to test out a new message, to test out a new idea, to test out a new course, or to test out a new audience, all of those things, it's a really great way for you to get started to see if there's interest in the topic and the audience that you're trying to target. If you want more information about what to create in those email marketing, how to get started with the email marketing software I mentioned, do be sure to check out the Email Marketing 101 episode of the podcast, and I will post a link in the show notes to that one as well. Remember, I host these Ask Me Anything episodes about once a month. And if you want your questions featured on a future episode of the Audience Converter podcast, reach out at contact@theaudienceconverter.com. Put AMA question in the subject line. Give me your name, your business website, and your question. If I choose your question, I'll give you a shout out on the show and include your link in the show notes, which will give you a little bit of an SEO boost. Thank you so much for listening to this episode about the no website approach to getting started for your new pivot, audience, or course idea. And tune in next time. Keep calm and carry on.
Thanks for listening to the Audience Converter podcast. For more information and important links about today's show or for access to our website, visit theaudienceconverter.com. Take a moment to rate and review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts.